Hello everyone, welcome back to Archangel RC. Yet another video on the infamous R-Wing Pro today, but this one would be a bit more positive than the last. After all the teeth knocking this plane received the previous few flight attempts, it was finally time for something good to come out of it. After printing out and gluing yet another camera mount, I've lost count already how many it's been through, I also reset the mechanical trim I clearly overdid before and only gave it about a 2mm up trim this time. We also did go to a completely new flight location, pretty awesome, but sadly over a 2-hour drive away from the city, so not one to go to every weekend, I'm afraid. Anyway, we were here at last, so I wanted to make the most of it. Weather was absolutely brilliant, sunny and absolutely no wind to speak of at ground level and relatively little at the top of the mountain. I actually flew my friend's 4-meter glider first, took it up the mountain and did an initial tour up there, but sadly he only has a Mobius camera on it, so the recorded video was not the best, but definitely showed the potential of the area. The R-Wing Pro was up next and I did make sure to verify control directions, CG, etc. to make sure nothing will go wrong with the takeoff this time, and I'm happy to report that we had a good takeoff once again and the plane was off to the top. My first goal was the lower peak right in the middle there. This is actually one of the 3 big winter resorts in my country, and that peak is the topmost part of the ski tracks. This is where they start. Of course, out of habit, I did not go much higher than the ground at the peak because I wanted to do some long distance proximity, and it did work out well. Plane was doing good, it was relatively stable, perhaps could use a bit more tuning, but I was quite happy with it right now. I rode an updraft all the way to the top of this peak and then turned right and headed to the tallest peak in this mountain range, and then something interesting happened. RSSI went down and the plane went into failsafe and tried to head home. The RSSI kept going up and down, but eventually just died off and the plane was well on the way to return, without me having reached the good parts of the mountain yet. This was quite perplexing and annoying at the same time. My main issue was the fact that during the teeth grinding crash, the 4S3P battery took a hit, and apparently there is a shorted cell in there because one cell keeps self-discharging, hence I was not able to fly with that one, but with the smaller 4S2P battery, which has less capacity, which means I may not be able to get back up again once I regain control of the plane due to having spent most of the battery already. Interesting enough, I was able to regain control of the plane when it came pretty close to home. Luckily, it still had some altitude, so I turned around and headed back to the mountain. Soon after, it became clear that I will not be able to reach the peak again due to battery running out, but then I had the same RSSI issues again, so I just let the autopilot fly the plane back. I did wonder what could be the issue with the DragonLink system. I did consider that there might be jammers up there in the ski resort, but then I flew there with my friend's plane, which is running a 433 MHz DragonLink system that hasn't been updated in a while, and I was running the 900 MHz system with the new beta firmware set to the 868 MHz band, so why would something affect that band and not the 433 MHz one? But in any case, that theory seemed unlikely. Later on, I did talk to Michael, the designer of DragonLink, and he did point out that the new beta firmware automates the receiver's telemetry output power. When the RSSI drops, the firmware automatically increases transmitter power to compensate, whereas in comparison before, I could set the telemetry output to a set level, not just auto, and be done with it. Now it actually would reach the full 1 watt of output, which could draw a fair bit of current, which probably causes the regulator powering the receiver from the Matec flight controller to shut down temporarily, at least until the plane comes back closer to home and the receiver lowers its output to a point where the regulator can actually sustain it. Judging by how the RSSI was acting up and going down, could indicate that the receiver was powering up and then shutting down when it draws too much current due to the regulator shutting down. That explanation did make a lot more sense than somebody running a jammer up there, and in fact I am going to be testing that next time I'm out. I will just plug the receiver's 5V side directly to the servo rail, where there is a hefty 5V 10A regulator running, so there should be plenty of power for that hungry telemetry link when it gets further out. I also do need to check if I can switch off the receiver's telemetry function just in case I don't need it. This will help solve such issues in the future and would not require the receiver be connected to a high current power source. In any case, I was quite happy with the flight itself and by the performance of the plane. Not being able to move this lighter battery forward, I did tape some wrench bits to the battery to match the 4S3P's weight, but I was glad it flies well and takes off without issues again. There will be more flights and hopefully a more thorough test of the DragonLink beta firmware, and who knows, we might even come back to this location soon. I would definitely like to get the Flying Dragon and the Razor Crest up into those peaks, especially with some clouds around. Now those would be some epic views. Until then, if you have found this video useful, please like, share and subscribe if you haven't already, and also consider commenting or in any other way engaging with this video, as it helps it get seen more and helps my channel grow. Using any of the affiliate links in the description below to purchase anything from those websites will help support this channel and my family at no additional cost to you. Another way you can support me is Patreon. The link is also there, and I would like to express my eternal gratitude to all the people who have supported me so far in any way and would continue to do so. I wish you all successful long-range flights, and I will see you in the next video.